So he goes to school the next day and finds out that that same kid ended up passing away. Because everybody in that school was just like the teachers, they were all sad. They did a whole tribute thing. Like, it was a huge deal at the school. And while he was dealing with that the whole day, the entire day he's thinking, oh my God, this is because of me. I did that to him. Now, at the time, he doesn't really know how the kid passed away. He just know the kid passed away. And it was so bad to the point where they had to call his parents to come pick him up because, like, he was that, like, devastated. Although the kid was his bully. But they don't know that he thought that he's the reason why that kid is now no longer with us. So when his parents came to pick him up, he was inconsolable, right? And so he ended up telling his parents exactly what happened. Like, he told his parents, I met this crazy lady and the kid was bullying me and I didn't think it was really going to work. I was just really mad. And of course the parents are like, honey, you're not the reason why that kid passed away. Like, you're fine. We don't know what happened, but we'll find out. Like, and once we find out, I'm sure there's a good, like, reasonable reason why. And so he was able to calm down a little bit, but it was still in his mind, right? And so a couple days later, the parents, tries to find out how the kid passed away so that they can help their kid. And so the parents ended up going over to the parents of the other kid's house. They went with flowers, like gifts, just like to, give their condolences, right? And so they get to the door, they knock on the door, and the parents come out and they introduce themselves. They're like, hey, we're Mark's parents from school, and we really just wanted to say, like, our condolences. Here are some gifts, here are some flowers. The parents are like, oh, you're Mark's kid. And they're like, yeah, Mark is our kid. And other parents are like, come in, we need to talk to y'all. And so Mark's parents are like, oh shit, okay, sure, yeah. Come to find out, that night, the bully had a really bad nightmare. Like, crying and screaming kind of nightmare. And he ended up going to his parents' room, telling his parents about the nightmare. And he was inconsolable because he was terrified. And he kept saying, tell Mark I'm sorry. And so at the time, the parents are like, baby, you're just having a really bad nightmare. Like, it's okay. You can stay in the room with us. Like, spend the rest of the night in the room with us. Just go back to sleep. Only when he went back to sleep, he just never woke up. But his last words were, tell Mark I'm sorry. And the parents didn't really know what that was about, but they just know that's what their kid said last. And so they relay that over to Mark's parents. And at that point, it hit them like, holy shit, Mark wasn't lying. Could this be? Could this be true? Do we even tell Mark this? Because he's already at home thinking he's the reason why that kid passed away. Could he be the reason why that kid passed away? Now, of course, they didn't mention anything that Mark said to the parents. They go home and they start asking Mark about information about this crazy lady. Now, before I go on with the story, if you're here to also support me and not just the stories, you just love Blizzy, please go show my new song some support. It's like 2 videos down. It's called Pull Up. You're going to see me with a shiesty on. That's the song that's about to be on the radio. So please go show it some love. I'm about to drop it real soon. But I also want to say, if you're here strictly for the stories and only for the stories, please unfollow me. I like to have people here that support me in everything I do, not just stories. You know what I mean? Anyway, so they go home and they're asking Mark, what did the lady look like? What kind of hair she had? What kind of shirt she had? All types of information they could find. Where? And Mark told them everything, every information that they can find. And Mark is like, hey, like, what happened? Like, when y'all went to the parents' house, what happened? And parents didn't tell Mark. They were just like, oh, we offered our, condolences, and they're going through it. And so they tried to do their research to try to find that lady, and they could never find that lady. Till this day, they could never find that lady. And remember how I said Mark went into her house and everything? Mark ended up going back with his parents to show them the house that he went into. Turns out that house was actually abandoned. The lady wasn't even supposed to be living there, right? And they went inside and everything. Everything was still there, but the lady just wasn't there. She was never found. Mark didn't get his answers until 10 years later. He said he could tell y'all that story too if y'all wanted. He'll be reading the comments. But it wasn't until 10 years later that he found out not only did the lady sacrifice the other boy, but she took advantage of Mark and sacrificed him too. So she saw Mark as a victim and saw him as an opportunity. She had Mark thinking that, we're going to get this little boy that keep bullying you. But really, she was offering that little boy and Mark And it wasn't until 10 years later, when some wild shit was going on in his life, a pastor ended up telling him. Mind you, he didn't say nothing to the pastor about what happened, but the pastor's telling him, you met somebody when you were younger and they tricked you. And yeah, so if y'all want that story, let Mark know in the comments. But that's pretty much it for the rest of the story. The song is called Pull Up, so go stream Pull Up for clear skin. Or if you just want to know how to protect yourself from these bad things, I have a guide. It's called Cleanse and Covered. The link is in my bio. It shows you how to cleanse off bad energy, weird energy. At least that was the point of it. But lately, that book has been changing people's lives, breaking spiritual spouses. Like, I don't know. But yeah, the link is in my bio. And I love you guys so much. And show me your snacks, okay? Okay. Snacks in hand. The vibe is set. And once I start, you won't forget. Don't eat too much because you gotta stay fine. But come on, bestie, it's story time. This story time is from Barbados, so shout out to Barbados. Before I start with the story, let me show y'all what my weekend was like. Bow! Y'all see your girl. Yep. Those of you guys that didn't know, I do make music and I am an artist now. My music is really good, so I'm not one of the sucky artists. Try not to throw my music too much at y'all because, you know, y'all like my stories and stuff. But I wish y'all would support my music just as much. However, I met a lot of great people there that night. It was a celebrity outing. Let's just say your girl's the next big thing, okay? I can't say too much. If you want to see pictures, look at my last couple posts. Anyway, back to the story. So this lady, let's call her Julie. Now, Julie gets her a cute little apartment in Barbados. She's like really excited for it because it's her first apartment. She meets with the landlord. She looks at the houses. Well, not the houses, the apartment. But the apartment is like in a house. So she has like a neighbor, like a next door neighbor. But it's like the same house. Anyway, so as she's looking at the apartment, she asks the landlord, like, who's my neighbor? Like, who lives next door? And the landlord is kind of like, it's this old lady, but you might want to stay away from her. And Julie's like, why do I got to stay away from her? The landlord was pretty much honest with her and basically told her, like, look at her window. You see that porcelain doll? She always keeps that at her window. She believes that it's watching everybody and everything and protecting her. Rumor has it she's a witch. But it's never confirmed. Like, we don't know if she's an actual witch or she's just a grumpy old lady. But she is a grumpy old lady, so be careful. So Julie's like, this is making her think twice about getting the apartment. But right now, she doesn't really have a choice because this apartment is perfect. It fits her budget. Like, everything just about it is good, except for that. So she's like, I think I can look past that. She's like, okay, great. She signs the lease, shakes his hand. She got her first apartment. It's exciting, right? So boom. Her family comes, they have a little, get together, she gets her furniture, all that. She didn't start sleeping in the apartment until it was fully furnished. So once it was fully furnished, she started sleeping in her new apartment. And the first night there, her phone went off at 3:33 a.m. She was in the middle of sleeping. And she woke up very startled, like, what the hell? Did I put an alarm on and forgot? Why is this, whatever. So she cancels the alarm, goes back to sleep. Everything's perfectly fine. Until the second night, her alarm clock goes off again at 3:33 a.m. And again, she's thinking, what the hell? Like, what? And at this point, she's going through her phone to make sure she has no alarm, no alarm set up for 3:33. So she's like, okay, cool. Now that I know I'm sure I don't have any, this shouldn't happen again. And then the third night comes and she gets woken up out her sleep again at 3:33 a.m. And at this point, this is happening every night. To the point where when she's going to sleep, she got to turn her phone off so the alarm just don't come on. Anyway, as she's living there, she goes in and out the house, but she never sees the old lady coming out or the old lady coming in or the old lady at all. All she sees is that porcelain doll at her window watching the block. So boom, at this point, it's a habit for her to go to sleep with her phone off because if she doesn't, turn it off, the alarm will go off. She's telling her friends and family about this, and everybody's like, I don't know about that. Like, why is that happening? That sounds very witchy to me. So they don't pay her too much attention. Some of them thought that, it was just her phone bugging. Except now that the phone don't go off at 3:33 a.m., now she's getting 3 knocks at 3:33 a.m. every night. If her phone is off, she gets loud enough to wake her out her sleep every night. This is messing with her sleep. So, of course, this is starting to affect her mentally. This is her first apartment. This goes on for about a week until she felt like she's going crazy. She's had enough. And she thinks it has to do with the old lady next door. And although she don't want to go to her door, but it's driving her crazy. She done spoke to the landlord about it, but what the fuck is the landlord supposed to do? So something kept telling her to just go next door and talk to the old lady. One day she worked up all her courage to talk to that old lady. She walks up to the door and she sees that porcelain doll, and she could have sworn that doll's eyes are moving, following her, right? That enough was just like, oh yeah, I don't think I could do this. But she did it. She went, she knocked on the door, nobody answered. She knocked again, nobody answered. She's like, maybe she's sleeping, I should leave. But something told her, don't leave. And so she starts looking into the window, and she sees the lady sitting in her chair in her living room. It seems like she's sleeping. When she saw that, she's like, oh, she's taking a nap. Like, I don't want to interrupt her nap. Let me just walk away. But then she started to realize, if she's sleeping, why isn't her chest moving? Because you know when you sleep, she's sitting in the chair, but her chest is not moving, almost as if she wasn't breathing. Now she's like, oh my gosh, is she okay? And so she runs to get the landlord, to tell the landlord, I think something is wrong with the lady. So the landlord comes, tries the same thing, knock on the door, looks into the window, the lady's there. And so he's knocking on the window trying to get her attention, but she's not waking up. And he also notices that she's not breathing. And so he's like, all right, I'm going in. He goes in and he sees her, and that lady was dead. Immediately, he calls for help. He calls the police. He calls, they had to come in and get her body out. But the creepy part is, when they were coming in to get her body out, that doll was following everybody with its eyes. And come to find out, afterwards, after they done took her body out, that lady had been dead for about 3 months. No smell, no decay, no nothing. She had been gone for 3 months, which I think correlates to the 333 every night and the 3 knocks she was getting at the door. I don't know. That's just my theory. But this was traumatizing enough for her to move out. Like, after that, she was just like, nope, can't do it. I'm getting a new apartment. So, yeah, she moved out. But that was, like, the most traumatizing thing that ever happened to her back in Barbados. Anyways, Cleansed and Covered, my book on how to protect yourself from bad energy and apparently changing your life. Because everybody that's using it and that's using the fasting, their lives are drastically changing. If you want to get that book, the link is in my bio. If you want to hear the review about the book, I should make a playlist. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Also, please try to support my music because you don't want to miss out. You don't want to say, I used to follow her when she was small and then I blow up. But for the ones that do, thank y'all so much. I love you guys. And don't forget to show me the pictures of what y'all eating in the comments because y'all be greedy and I am too. So this girl is sitting there reading her Bible. And as she's reading her Bible, every picture frame of her grandparents. Now, at the time, she didn't realize. She thought it was just every picture frame. But the pictures are falling and they're breaking. And so instantly, she starts praying. Because what else can she do in a situation like that? She's like, oh, this is getting real. Like, this is getting real. I'm living one of Blizzy's stories. And so she starts praying. As she's standing there praying, she feels like a cold air hit the back of her neck. I ain't gonna lie, that did it. She ran out the house, as she should. She ran out the house. She called her friend, told her friend to come over. Once she was, calm enough, she went back in the house to, clean up all the glass from the picture frames that fell. It was then that she realized it was pictures of her grandparents. Her grandparents from her mom's side. Her pictures were perfectly fine. Her pictures with her friends were perfectly fine. But it's just her grandparents. And y'all, she's still fasting. At this point, she want to quit. She don't even want to keep going. Like, she's terrified. She's too scared. But then something in her is like, are you going to quit now? Or do you, tomorrow's the last day? Just quit tomorrow. It's the last day anyway. And so she's like, okay, I'll quit tomorrow, but I'm not spending the night here. I'll go spend the night at a hotel, my friend house, something. And so her friend helps her clean up, the glass and all that good stuff. She packs a bag. She goes to her friend's house. She's staying there for the night. She's still fasting the next day, but she can't be here right now. So when she gets to the friend's house, she can't get it out her mind. Why? Why is it only her grandparents' pictures that fell down and no other pictures? And so she calls her mom. She's like, hey, Mom, this is something that's been happening to me lately. And she explained to her mom about the book and all of that. And her mom didn't like the idea at all. The mom is like, why are you buying books off the internet and bringing shit to you? Now you got shit happening and you calling me about it? Of course, she didn't expect her mom to understand. But she's asking her mom, like, did something happen with grandma and grandpa? Why is it only their pictures that's falling? So for background, her mom wasn't really close to her parents like that. She didn't have a good relationship with her parents, so when she grew up, she ended up going no contact, but then they got in contact, but they still weren't close. Mom didn't really like talking about it either. Like, she'll tell a couple stories here and there, but never really get into details. And so, did we give her a name? Let's call her Marie. So Marie's like, Ma, like, I know you don't like talking about them too much, but like, what happened? Like, why is it only their pictures? And mom is basically like, listen, man, like, they just was very crazy people. They did weird shit. They were emotionally unavailable, and they really only cared about money. They cared more about having money than having children. I think you know where this is going. So they had that talk, and Marie didn't really find out too much about her whatever. And she's still confused. She left the phone call even more confused. She didn't get no answers. So she's preparing herself for day 3 of fasting, expecting the absolute worst, except it wasn't. She went to sleep perfectly fine. She woke up perfectly fine. She had her day 3 perfectly fine. And so she's like, okay, maybe this isn't that bad. I'm done with fasting. My life is supposed to be getting better now. So she goes on about her 3rd day of fasting. And right when she was about to break her fast, she gets a phone call from her mom. And she's like, hey, Ma. And mom is like, you need to come over right now. She's like, okay, yeah, sure. I'll come over right now. And she goes over to mom's house as soon as possible because it sounded like she was like dead serious. When she gets there, mom is in tears. And she's thinking like, something happened. What happened? Mom, what, like, are you okay? Mom tells her she had the worst nightmare of her life last night. Mom tells her she dreamt that she was in a house that caught on fire. When she was in that house, she looked over and there was a man staring at her, standing in the fire, staring at her, not saying or doing anything. And so Marie's face dropped. And before Marie can even tell mom, I had the same dream, mom said all she could do was scream. She was so scared and frozen in fear that all she could do was scream because there was no windows, no doors. There was no way out for her out of that burning house. And so Marie's like, holy shit. Marie tells mom about her dream, how she had the dream she was in that house with that man and heard a screaming woman. So mom immediately starts blaming her. It's your fault. You bought that book. You brought this. But Marie kind of like explained to her, showed her my page, and showed her what the book is supposed to do, and that made her feel a little better. Everybody is still very much confused. So mom calls her older sister, which is Marie's aunt, to explain the entire situation to her. An older sister is definitely in no contact with parents. Like none of their kids fuck with their parents. And so as they're talking, they started to realize that they all might have a spiritual spouse. And so they come into the conclusion that it may be a generational thing. Ultimately, mom and aunt decided that they also wanted to do the fast. Marie's already done with the fast. It's like this is her 3rd day. She just broke it. So this quickly turned into a whole family call because Marie's mom, it was her aunt, her sister, and their little brother, which he was the youngest. So little brother hops on the call too. He can also relate. His love life is trash. But little brother ends up dropping a bomb. Because mind you, this is little brother. So wow. Auntie and Marie's mom were out of the parents' house, little brother was still there. Come to find out, when both sisters decided to leave the house and go contact with parents were so mad that they would actively do voodoo in front of little brother, sacrificing those 2 daughters' lives for them to get richer, for them to have more money. Like the parents had brought like a voodoo priest over and everything, did that shit in the house with their pictures. Now parents don't know that little brother knew this because he only found out because that night they brought the voodoo the voodoo priestess that night to do the whole ritual thing. He couldn't sleep that night, and he was sneaking to see what they were doing, and he saw everything. Parents said, to hell with those kids. They don't want us. We don't want them. How can we sacrifice them to get us some money? Voodoo priest is like, because of their father, he's heavily protected. You can't really sacrifice their lives, but you can sacrifice something else, which is, yeah. So their own parents did magic on them to not ever being able to find love, and in return, they get richer. So the siblings are like, why the hell did you never tell us about this? Little brother is like, y'all barely want to talk about our parents in the first place. Like, every time I bring them up, y'all get aggravated. So, yeah. And they're like, okay, that makes sense. Ultimately, they all decided that they're going to try the book. Marie was still scared to go home, so she ended up staying with her mom that night. Basically, like, walked her mom through how she did her fasting and how her mom could do her fasting. Why the hell did Marie wake up the next day to all her exes lined up on her phone, calling and texting her? Like, no joke, all of them. So far, it's only been a week, and everything seems like they're doing good. She's not responding to any exes, but she feels like she spiritually feels like there's a weight lifted off of her. Said she wanted to tell me her story, but she wants to tell me her mom's story from doing the fasting, but she wants to get permission from her mom first. Yeah, this is how my book helped them discover that their parents tried to sacrifice them. The testimonies I'm getting from this book is actually insane, and it gets worse every time. Anyways, I hope this was a good one for y'all, because it was a good one for me. If you want the book that they're talking about, the link is in my bio. When I created this, I had no idea this was going to be the result. It's called Cleansed and Covered, and it teaches you how to cleanse yourself from bad energy, and that was the intention, but apparently it's clearing other stuff too, so... Anyways, I love y'all. If you want to get yourself cleansed too, the link is in my bio. If you're going to try the fasting, be ready. Please. Snacks in hand, the vibe is set, yeah, all that, whatever. I'm on my period. I'm just playing. Snacks in hand, the vibe is set, and once I start, you won't forget. Don't eat too much, because you got to stay fine, but come on, bestie, it's story time. So, what you eating today? I just know it's a meal. I just know. Anyways, we're going to talk about spiritual spouses. So this girl sent in her story because she didn't even know what a spiritual spouse was until she saw one of my videos. And it turned into her finding out a whole family secret, whatever. So boom, this girl follows me. She loves my videos, you know, she watches my stories all the time. And then she saw me post about spiritual spouses. And she was just like, hold on now, you hitting a little too close to home, Blizzy. Because like everything I was saying was checking off. This girl has been single for years. Every time she gets with somebody, it just goes wrong. Either the man would disappear for no reason, or he'd just cheat for no reason at all. Or sometimes she'll be the one that self-sabotaged the relationship. Either way, her love life was trash. It's not like there's anything really wrong with her. She's very attractive. I saw her profile. She's a really attractive young lady. She has her degrees, so she has education. And her parents got money, so there's nothing really wrong with her. I mean, she got money too, but you know, her parents are good. Like her parents, grandparents, everybody has really good houses, nice cars, all that. Anyway, so she watched 2 of my videos, because I made a couple, I think, about spiritual spouses. And she was just like, oh shit, like I think that's me. Is this play about us? And so she decides to purchase my book, right? Because it wouldn't hurt. Oh, but it will hurt. I'm sorry, girl. That's not funny. But yeah, I was just like talking about things that were too similar to her. And she always found my content very interesting. And she's not into like voodoo or nothing like that. She just likes hearing about it. But she also heard about all the other stories that I posted about the book. So she was just like, okay, let's see what this do. So she goes to try and buy my book. And she can't buy it. Like, she's putting her card information. It's just not working. It's declining. The money's in her account, but it's not working. So much so that the app shuts down. And so she's like, all right, whatever. Maybe it's the service, whatever. She tries again later. And she still can't purchase it. And so she's like, am I overthinking this? Am I bugging? Like, does this have to do? All right. So then she calls up her friend. She was like, hey, I'm about to send you some money. Can you go get this book for me and send it to me? And friend was like, yeah, sure. And they stayed on the phone. She sent the money. Friend bought it. No problem. Friend tries to email the file to her and it won't come. So at this point, she's like, oh shit. Like, you really trying to get me. You really not trying to. Anyway, to move on, she finds a way. She gets the book and she starts reading the book. And as she's reading the book, like, because the beginning of my book, I have like a checklist. The checklist is basically like signs that you need a spiritual reset. And so she already related to the spiritual spouse thing because she would always have dreams having sexual relations. I mean, that spouse be going in on her. I'm talking about in it. This is her words, not mine. Anyway, as she's reading through the books, she's like, okay, I'm gonna get those things from like Amazon. I can order them, do like a spiritual bath, all of that. And then she gets to the section, the fasting one. This is the one that gets everybody. If you read all of my reviews, it's always the fasting that gets it. Because I have like Bible verses in there. I have prayers that you can say, you know, if you didn't really want to like know how to pray and you want to know how to, like, I have it all in there. So she orders this stuff for the spiritual bath, and she decides that she's going to do the 3-day fasting that I have in there. And I also have a guide on how to, you know, if you don't know how to fast, it basically teaches you how to fast. So that part made her a little nervous because from my other stories from people that fasted, she heard the stories and she was kind of scared because she don't know what was going to happen. And so day 1, she started the fast. That night, she had the most violent dreams she ever had in her life. She dreamt that her house caught on fire. It was just like fire everywhere. As the fire's going on, she turns and she sees this man standing within the fire staring at her. But she can't see who it is. It's like a figure. As she's looking at this man and this man is just staring at her, she hears a woman screaming. So she's focused on trying to escape because she's in a fire and she physically cannot breathe in the dream. And so she hears the woman screaming and her first instinct is to try to find out who that woman is. But at the same time, she want to survive. She didn't get to. She woke up. That was the dream. She woke up in cold sweats and she felt hot. Like she felt the heat from the dream. And she still had to wake up to like cough and drink some water because she still couldn't breathe from the dream. As she's sitting there trying to catch her breath, she's like, fuck. Like, it's happening to me. It's happening to me. But all those stories that she heard, it's always bad first and it gets better. So she's like, okay, I can do this. It's just a dream. Like, I can do this. And so this now leads her to her second day of fasting. In my book, the second day is all about clarity. First day is out with the old, which is what she did. And second day is for clarity and guidance. Now that you're out with the old, what's next? So she's doing everything in the book. Like she's praying. She's, you know. As she's sitting there reading her Bible, y'all, every single picture from her house of her grandparents falls to the floor and instantly breaks. Snacks in hand, the vibe is set, and once I start, you won't forget. Don't eat too much, because you gotta stay fine, but come on, bestie, it's story time. I know y'all like that. Don't act like you ain't like that. Anyways, for today's story, let's call her Jenny. So this happened to Jenny. Jenny's Haitian, and this happened to her when she was in her 20s. So one day after work, Jenny went to chill at her mom's house. Her mom used to sell food, beer. I know the whole Haitian setup with the men and the dominoes and cards. You get it. If you're Caribbean, you should know. Now, obviously, if she's around, y'all know how some of these Haitian uncles be. Like, they try to talk to her. They be old as hell trying to talk to her. She always shut it down, and she would even tell them, like, listen, I don't even do Haitian men. I tried it one time, and never again. I don't blame you, sis. There was this one guy, and he wanted her bad. She already knew better, and he wasn't even her type, but he wanted her bad. He would like try, and she would always shut him down until one day he decides, you're gonna stop shutting me down. So he went and did what he needed to do. Next thing you know, her and this man are getting close. They start getting a little too close. Now, her mama peeps this. Her mom already knew what was up, right? She's like, I watch my baby girl shut you down all the time, and all of a sudden she's interested in you. Yeah, right. So one day he comes and she walks up to him and she says to him, I know what you did. I don't appreciate what you did, but I'm gonna take care of you. Don't worry about it. I got you. She didn't yell. She didn't threaten. She went straight to the elders and handled it. Now, before I go on with the story, some of y'all may not know, but I started to tap into music this year. I dropped one song, and it kind of went viral. It did really good. You guys encouraged me to do this. I'm going to be performing at the Unity Fest after party, and you better like it. And you better come. Seriously, guys, I'm actually so terrified. This is moving too damn fast. Anyway, if you love me, please come and support. Okay, back to the story. Basically, mama went up to him and was like, I think you need that, and I'm gonna give that to you. So she went to the elders. They did what they had to do, and baby, whatever they did worked, because she snapped out of it almost instantly. And then realized, like, oh shit, this nigga really had me under some kind of like whatever. And the funny thing is, after mommy did what she had to do, that man never came back around. Actually, after she spoke to him that time, he never came back around. A few years later, Jenny finds out that that man was, she don't know why, she don't know how, but she just knows somebody took him out. Hey y'all, so that's the story. Don't forget to comment y'all snacks or whatever it is that y'all eating. Honestly, if you're gonna post some seafood boil, don't even post it. You're gonna make me mad.
তুলিকে আমি বিয়ে করব।
ওকে মামু, তাহলে তো নাচব, গান হইব, সব হইব। জাকানাকা দেহ দোলানা।
আমি তোমাদের বিয়েতে রাজি হতে পারি, কিন্তু একটা শর্ত আছে আমার।
একটা শর্ত কেন? হাজারটা শর্ত দিতে পারবো বাবা।
24 ঘন্টা তোমার ফোন তুলির কাছে থাকবে, তুলির ফোন তোমার কাছে থাকবে।
জি আঙ্কেল। কি আঙ্কেল?
আগে বল আমি তোর কি হই?
তুমি আমার ভালোবাসার মানুষ।
এই এগুলো কি? দেখ তো, দেখ ভালো করে দেখ, দেখ 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 দেখ।
আরে দেখতে পারতেছ?
নার্গিসটা কে আমাকে বল।
নার্গিস হচ্ছে আমার দাদি।
তুই মরা দাদির সাথে রেস্টুরেন্টে গেছিলি? মরা দাদির কি সুপার অন্তুন খাওয়াইছিলি? আর
সত্যি বলতেছে, আমি রিয়া ফিয়া কাউকে চিনি না।
ওই বিয়েতে বেটি তোরে সাইকিস দেয়, আবার সেই সাইকিস ব্যাক করে। আমি নীল আকাশের তারা আইডিটা তুই চালাইতি।
তোমার
আমি স্বপ্ন দেখছি অনেক খারাপ।
এলাকার মানুষজন কয় ওরি নাকি পাগল।
ওরে ময়না ময়না।
আসসালামু আলাইকুম ডাক্তার সাহেব।
ওয়ালাইকুম সালাম।
দুটো কাম দেন।
কিছু কিছু সময় বদলাইতে হয়।
ভালোবাসাটা দিলাও না, ভালোবাসাটা নিলাও না।
তুই হলো ছোট পাগল, আমি হলাম বড় পাগল।
আলো আধারের